So hello and welcome to this week's angling vlog. This week you join me on the banks of Flushing Meadows fishery. We're out with plenty of mates. Everyone down there is either family or friend, and we're out hoping to get one or two bites from Mr. Carp and have a good bit of banter on the bank. It's a week on from when we were on with Joshua. The temperatures this week have been a bit warmer. It's going to be up to, they've given 18 degrees today, but they have given it overcast. So let's waste no time at all. Let's go over the setup and how we're going to approach it. So my plan today is to fish over there on Pellet, fishing shallow and just having a bit of fun and learning. It's something completely new to me, just fishing pellet and hard pellet as a bait. So just going to ping pellets over there to begin with and prime these two margins for later on. I have got quite a good margin down there, but we'll talk about it as we fish down there. The side tray, nice and simple. We've got some meat and Hinder's hemp for the margins. We've got some corn if you want to put some more bait down the margin as well. Pellet wise, we've got some of the Hinder's small pellets, the carp pellets, and those are the ones that I'm going to put on the hook, just hoping to target those carp. Like I say, not really a bait that I fish very often. Do a lot on the river for the barbel, but not really for the carp. Been pinging a few pellets over there already, so let's go straight over and make a start. I haven't even had time to put me GoPro on top of my head. I was just pinging them small pellets over there and the float absolutely buried, and looks like we're into the first carp of the day, which very different from last week, how quickly and how alive they've been. You can see there the pellet in the net, and yeah, the first carp probably by design on pellet, and just fishing shallow and pinging those pellets over the top. So to start the session off, I'm just going to try and have a bit of fun, just feeding the small pellets over that far bank line. I'm fishing the full 13 metres of my pole, but it isn't quite long enough to get into the real shallow water, so I'm just coming off it, and like I say, I'm fishing at probably half depth and just dropping that pellet in, just hoping that the noise just attracts one or two more of them carp in. Like you see it at the very start, we've already had a carp doing it straight away. And there we go. You see there the float just buried completely with a carp. Not putting loads of pellets over there, just feeding before I go over. Obviously it's new to me, just fishing a full pole and then pellets over there, but it just seems to be working. Just keep slapping it over, and you see there, didn't even see the float go under. The second carp of the day, and not a bad start considering not something that I do that often. I'm just pinging them pellets over there and literally fishing maybe 2 foot deep on the second carp of the day. That we've had carp already does bode well for the margins later on. There is a lot of mess on that far bank. You've got, you know, all the brambles, so I'm lining up with them reeds in front of me, pinging a few pellets over like that, just trying to make a bit of noise and just attract anything that's along that far bank. You can see there's another carp already in the area. There we go. It's not going too mad with the feeding, and then just letting that float settle and not being too keen just to slap it over. And at the moment it just seems to be working. Like I said just then, I've got no idea why it's working, because it's not something that I do very often, but all I know is by just putting a little bit of bait over there and making that noise and fishing that bigger pellet, do seem to be getting a few bites. I must admit, I really didn't expect to go over there and get the reaction we're getting, but while it's working, we'll keep on going. So like I said at the start, it's all about having a bit of fun today, and one thing I don't want to be messing about with is rigs. So I've got nice elastic in, you know, the yellow drenning elastic. I've got an edge float there, nice and simple. That's literally down to a bulk shot of weights, a 3-pound hook link, and then I've got a size 12 barbless hook on a band. We've got a pellet. What that means is, obviously because the meat berries, I'm hoping I can use the same hook for the meat as I do the pellet. But yeah, it's probably completely wrong to all the commercial experts out there, but getting a few bites, and that's all that matters. So you can see there, that carp's just disturbed and that's picking up any of the pellets that have gone a bit too far in the shallows. So it bodes really well, you know, for the margin fishing later on. And say my pole isn't quite long enough to fish tight up to target them, but you can see there, there's definitely one or two fish about. What a lovely little carp that is, nice and scaly, and if there was a type of carp that I do like catching, that is the one. I just love how you get, you know, such different scale patterns, and that, yeah, definitely my type of carp. And at the moment over there, it literally is a bite of chuck for these carp, and it just shows how a week can make such a big difference. Last week, you know, it took till the afternoon to get the first one. This is a bit more like it. No, Joshua wouldn't have a washing line like that, would he? This is quite a popular fishery. Whenever I come, there's normally plenty of people on the bank, and that carp is in excellent condition. It's a lovely little carp, that. And the key to it definitely is not to go too mad with the pellet. We're not feeding loads of bait like we're going to be doing down here with the meat. We're just putting in, you know, pellet, and then going over the top of that bigger pellet, and literally, like you've seen there, the float's burying almost straight away. And a lot of these carp are like peas in a pod. You can see they're in excellent condition and loving them pellets. So if you're a long-term subscriber to the channel, you will remember Baz, who used to come piking with me. He's out today. Passed him the pole for a bit. We've been having plenty of fun out there, and it's not taking him too long to get a bit of elastic pulling out. There we go, there's the first carp. I'm sure it's one of many over that far bank, but well done, matey. And for someone who's not really used a pole much, did really well. So I've gone straight back out, just feeding those pellets, and the float's bedded. There's loads of carp on that back margin, and if we had a bit of a longer pole, we'd definitely be getting them. Again, like I said before, with commercials, they are great places for people to get into fishing and learn it. And it's been 1 or 2 years since Baz has been out, and he's come out today, had a quick go on the pole, and he's already getting fish. Like I said before, a bit like peas in a pod, and what a difference to last week. So we've had plenty of bites, as you've just seen, and picked up a few more, and I've just gone over on a piece of meat right on that mud line as far as I can get over, and it's buried straight away. Anyone who owns a 13-metre pole that's quite a cheap one will know how hard they are to keep holding at 13 metres for a long time. So we'll call this the last one over there. I'm sure there's plenty more fish to be had, but then we're going to start looking down our margins. Pretty sure I've seen that tail along the mud line, so I put on a piece of meat and flicked it out. It didn't take too long to go. So going down the margin, just picking a nice spot that's nice and flat, and you can see there isn't much change in the depth till you get to about there, and it will go off the edge quite quickly. So what that means is we can feed on a bit of a dinner plate, and the bait isn't going to go down the shelf and completely out the swim. Starting off on that margin down there, just fed a bit of the meat, and it's taken probably 5 minutes for the float to beddie. Coming into the first carp down the margin. So it's no surprise that that's the best carp of the day. It is what you'd expect when you go down the margin, that you do pick up those better quality fish. You are. Baz next to me just said he had the carp on, so I looked up, I turned around, and the elastic was shooting out the pole. So I didn't even strike, and hopefully again it's come out on the GoPro. But like always, into the afternoon, and just loads of bites now. Another one of those mint commons down the margin. And the thing about bigger carp means more elastic, and I think this one's heading for the other end of the pool, but I'm sure if we keep that rod tip low, it'll come back round. but literally just bolted out the swim straight that way. I think he's coming back round now. Like I say, it's no race, it's just about taking your time, having a bit of fun. And like the old saying goes, wet lines and washing lines. So like I said before, down the margin you do seem to get those better quality fish. Just slowly putting together a couple of fish, and the weirdest bite ever, the float just bedded, struck, and the fish hasn't really moved. It's kind of just stayed where it is. Whether it's foul hooked, I don't know, but the rest of them have just bolted out the swim like you'd normally expect with a margin fish. But this one just seems to be a bit different. So as you can see there, cleanly hooked in the bottom lip. The weirdest bite ever, like not even the biggest carp, but he's a bit chunky. But yeah, just seems to stay where he was. I had plenty of carp in the morning over that far bank line on that pellet. But like I said, when you come down the margin, they're just that bit bigger. And it doesn't take too many of them to have a really good day's fishing. And hopefully, there's one or two more of these down there and we can pick them up. There we go, what a lovely carp to end the session on. The biggest one of the day coming right in the margin. Really has been an enjoyable day on the bank with good company, plenty of laughs, and yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this week's vlog. All that remains is to wish you all tight lines of your own fishing, and we'll catch you all next week. Tight lines.